Okay, so you've got one of those really annoying, deep splinters. And I know what you're thinking. Tweezers? Needle? It's time to go digging, right? Wrong! Stop! Seriously, put the needle down. You are about to make this whole situation so much worse. I'm not kidding. That urge to dig, it's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. Because believe it or not, your body has this amazing built-in removal system. I like to call it a natural elevator, and it's already working hard to kick that thing out for you. Let me break it down. Okay, first things first, we have to talk about why that go-to method of ours, the digging, is actually so harmful. Let's get into the risks. So this is how our fix actually becomes the real problem. When you start digging around in there, you could easily push the splinter even deeper. Or even worse, you might break it up into a bunch of tiny little fragments, which are way harder to get out. All that digging, it causes way more trauma to your skin than the splinter did in the first place. And plus, you're basically opening a superhighway for bacteria to get deep into your tissue. And if it's a wood splinter, yikes, that stuff is super inflammatory. All right, so if we're not supposed to dig, what are we supposed to do? Well, nothing. The second that splinter gets in there, your body's own elite defense force just springs into action. The scientific name for this whole process is the foreign body reaction. Think of it as your body's standard protocol for dealing with any invader that doesn't belong, whether that's a medical implant or, you guessed it, that pesky piece of wood stuck in your finger. So how does this defense force actually work? Well, it's kind of like a three-stage military operation. First, as soon as the splinter is in, proteins in your blood coat its surface. This is like setting off a giant alarm bell that screams invasion. Then the first responders. These are your white blood cells. Guys like neutrophils and macrophages swarm the scene. They try to literally eat and destroy the intruder. But here's the problem. A wood splinter is way too big to be eaten. So they switch to plan B. They surround it, completely walling it off to contain the threat. It's like building a little prison around it. But just containing it isn't enough. This is just the beginning. Now your body starts building the exit strategy. And this is where my favorite part comes in, what I call the natural elevator. And check this out. This quote here really gets to the heart of it. It's actually from a veterinary text about horses, but it perfectly describes what happens in our bodies too. The walled-off invader is forced to move, and it almost always takes the path of least resistance, which means up and out. So what's actually going on? Well, your body is intentionally creating a little controlled infection right at the site. This forms a pocket of pus. Yeah, it sounds gross, but that pus is just the leftover gunk from the battle. Dead immune cells, dead bacteria, and it's the critical first step in getting that splinter out. And like I said, I know it's gross, but this pus, it's the engine that powers our natural elevator. As more and more of it gets packed into that tiny walled-off space, it starts to build up a ton of internal pressure right underneath the splinter. And this, right here, is exactly what that looks like. That pocket of pus is basically acting like a hydraulic lift. All that pressure has to go somewhere, right? So it goes up. And it literally, physically pushes the splinter, bit by bit, up toward the surface of your skin. It is just brilliant, elegant biological engineering at its finest. Okay, so the pressure is building, the elevator is rising. Let's talk about the grand finale. It's time for the final eruption. I think we've all been there, right? If you've ever had a bad pimple or a small abscess, you know this feeling exactly. As that pressure builds and the skin gets thinner and thinner, the pain gets really intense. That's your body telling you, hey, get ready. And then, pop. You get that moment of just incredible relief. The second that thing breaks the surface, all that pressure vanishes, and the pain is just gone. It's almost instant. So the abscess erupts and everything comes out with it. The pus, all that infection gunk, and the star of the show, the splinter itself. Your body doesn't just get rid of the object, it does a complete deep clean, flushing out the whole area from the inside out. Okay, now, this process is incredible. But, and this is a really big but, it's not the solution for everything. It is absolutely critical that you know when to trust your body and when you need to call a professional, like right away. So listen up. This is what you have to remember. If the object is glass, don't wait. The body can't break that down. If it's really deep, super painful, or anywhere near your eye, go see a doctor. Same thing for any wound that's really deep or dirty, or if you start seeing signs of a bigger infection, like redness spreading out from the wound. Do not wait on those. And one last really important question you need to ask yourself anytime you get a puncture wound. Is your tetanus shot up to date? If it's been more than 5 years and the wound is dirty, you might need to get a booster shot. Seriously, check on that. So next time you get one of those deep, stubborn wood splinters, remember that sometimes the best tool you have is just a little bit of patience. Trust your body's amazing engineering. It really knows what it's doing. Thanks for joining me for this one.